So able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. So welcome you back to the class. This is the lecture 4 in this series of lectures on this subject applied electromagnetics. And today we are going to talk about orthogonal coordinate system. Okay. And following the vector algebra that we had done for the last 2 classes. So this is on the orthogonal coordinate system. And what is to begin with, we will first talk about what is an orthogonal coordinate system. Why is it essential to learn about orthogonal coordinate system in the context of electromagnetics? And then we will talk about in particular cylindrical coordinate system. There are several orthogonal coordinate systems, but the scope of this course that we are going to learn is concerned with the two orthogonal coordinate systems, namely the cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. Okay, so but I would also, already the Cartesian coordinate system which you are familiar with, so that is also an orthogonal coordinate system. Having said that, it is easy to put this way: an orthogonal coordinate system is one in which the coordinates are perpendicular. Okay, so what are the other orthogonal coordinate system? They are, for example, cylindrical, spherical, elliptical, okay, conical, and so on and so forth. Okay, so but we will restrict to cylindrical coordinate system and spherical coordinate systems, which are the curvilinear coordinate system also. See, that is the difference between a Cartesian coordinate system and a cylindrical, or because you are encountering curved surfaces in a cylinder, okay, and also you are encountering curved surfaces in a sphere. So this orthogonal coordinate system where curved surfaces are encountered, there are many, but we are going to restrict to cylindrical and spherical. Okay. So what is the cylindrical? In this class, we are going to talk about only cylindrical coordinate system, and we are going to describe about if I want to visualize a point in cylindrical coordinate system, what are the coordinates required? Okay, we know that in any three-dimensional space, we require 3 coordinates to specify point. For example, in Cartesian coordinate system, we are going to talk about x, y, z. But in cylindrical coordinate system, what are the 3 coordinates? Okay, that we are going to talk. And why do I have to deal with this kind of system? The reason is very simple. In the context of the course, we want to estimate the sum and substance of this entire course is going to be estimation of electric field, electric potential, magnetic field, magnetic potential. Okay, to begin with. So this is the beginning. So these 4 quantities can be estimated with Cartesian coordinate system itself. Then why do I have to bring in the spherical polar coordinate system and also the cylindrical coordinate system? There are, it depends on, basically these fields are coming from either charge configuration or current configuration. Okay, a magnetic field comes due to current configuration, and a electric field comes to electrostatic field comes due to charge configuration, charge at rest. Now, having said that, if I have these charge configurations are not, are in a manner that I am going to encounter cylindrical or spherical or curved surfaces, how am I going to deal with that problem? Okay, it is very cumbersome in such a case where there is the distribution of the charges or the currents in various configurations. It is going to be it is not always easy to deal with those kind of stuff with rectangular coordinate system alone, that is Cartesian coordinate system alone. A problem which can be tackled, which will be difficult to be tackled with Cartesian coordinate system, can be easily tackled with a cylindrical coordinate system or a spherical polar coordinate system. Okay, so therefore, there are two ways of doing this. Straight away, I could have gone to electrostatics and then and there learned these fundamentals and gone with that. That is the way in IIT they teach. But where we have to deal, systematically, a better approach would be to first put these fundamentals, have these fundamentals, grasp it, and then it is easy to run with the electrostatic field or magnetostatic field, as you will be seeing throughout this course. Okay, so we are going to talk about a point transformation, a vector transformation. When I say point transformation, how do I visualize a point which was there in Cartesian coordinate system, and I want to convert that and see it in a cylindrical coordinate system? I need to do that. So these are the two tools we will have to use. One is point transformation and vector transformation. Okay, so these two tools we will be using to tackle the field problems. Okay, so at the time of the field estimation, I will emphasize these concepts, but the fundamentals will not be again taken up there. The fundamentals are in this class. So please pay attention to the cylindrical coordinate system fundamentals. When I say fundamentals, what are the coordinates? Three coordinates that define in a cylindrical coordinate system, and what are the unit vectors associated with these three coordinates. Okay, so that is what. Now finally, as usual, we are going to have some classroom activity through solving problems. Okay, so we know that rectangular coordinates, and it's all the three coordinates are linear. Okay, so this is well known, and this is how we visualize this point. Now if I go to cylindrical coordinates, I have a cylinder. I want to describe a point in space. Okay, so on a cylinder, let us say I have a cylinder. Imagine a cylinder. I want to describe a point which is located on the surface of a cylinder. A cylinder has a radius. We know it. And radius is a linear quantity. Therefore, one of the coordinate can be the radius itself. Okay, the other coordinate, how do I do it? Okay, and then there is also the length of the cylinder. Okay, so that also can be taken, which is also linear. So we see two quantities. So imagine a circle, and if I go around the circle, what is the total angle I cover? 360 degree. Therefore, a cross section of a cylinder is a circle. Okay, a circular face. So if I want to describe any point, I can describe in terms of the radius of which is located on the cylinder, in terms of the radius of the cylinder, then the height with respect to the length of the cylinder where the point is located, that is along the z-axis. So I can use the z-axis itself. So if I can imagine the cylinder, the major axis of the cylinder to be located along the z-axis. Okay, for simplicity. And then I can say the length of the cylinder is along the z-axis, in which case I can use the z coordinate itself. So two coordinates which are linear. Now the third one is the angle. The angle comes because of the cross section of the cylinder. If I have many circular surfaces stacked one over the other, I will get a cylinder. Therefore, the angle can be 360 degree. It can be anywhere. So I have two linear coordinates and one angular coordinate. So the two linear coordinates are going to be rho and z, where rho is the radius vector and z is the height. And phi is what is known as the angular coordinate, that is the azimuthal angle. Okay, and I will explain that a little more shortly. So this is the imagination for the three coordinates. So this point, the point marked by the color in yellow, you will see that this point is going to be the rho phi z. So this is the point P, and I am going to, so if I want to reach this point, I have to travel a distance of rho, and from here if I am going, so I am going to go through the height z and then go here. But the angle also is very important because this is at 0, 0. So I have to traverse a distance of this phi also. So the coordinates are going to be rho phi z. I hope this is clear. Now the next one is spherical coordinate system. I will keep this explanation in the next class. So just assume that in a sphere, only thing is you have, instead of 2 linear coordinates, you are going to have 2 angular coordinates and only 1 linear, which is the radius of the sphere itself. Okay, so any point on the sphere we can map by having 1 linear and 2 angular coordinates, or theta phi. Okay, it is written as r phi theta. You make a small amend to that. We'll describe that in the next class anyway. So as I told, there are several orthogonal coordinate systems, and this orthogonal coordinate system will be very, very useful when we try to compute field due to a variety of charge and current configurations. But we will only restrict our discussion to cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. Any other coordinate system, any other geometry can be actually visualized by a combination of, suppose I have a point and in a geometry which is very, and all the 3 axes are curved, then I can do some kind of an estimation whereby I can use a combination of these coordinate systems that I know, that I will be knowing after the spherical coordinate system. I can use combination, for example, RCS and cylindrical, or cylindrical and spherical, or all the 3 together, and I can get there also. Alternatively, I can use any of these coordinate system. Our aim is here not to learn, completely into orthogonal coordinate system. Rather, we will try to learn few things and we will try to make use of it. Okay, so that is our aim. That is, our aim is electromagnetics. Do not forget that. But we are going to use the mathematical tool to learn that electromagnetics. Therefore, we will restrict to cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. So here is the cylinder, and I want to locate any point on in the cylinder, as I told you earlier. So when I want to locate on any point on the cylinder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to superimpose a rectangular coordinate system on this cylinder. Now I want to, if I have a point on the cylinder, say here, I want to visualize this point either in terms of the cylindrical coordinates or in terms of the rectangular coordinate system, that is the Cartesian coordinate system. How do I do that? That is the problem. So again, come again. So this is my rectangular coordinate system, and what I'm going to do is this coordinate system that you are seeing, the cylinder, I am going to cut only one part of the section of this cylinder and superimpose here. So when I superimpose, for understanding, I have only one section. You can see that I have cut one small section, a 90-degree section, and placed it over here with these 2 planes, and then there is a curved surface, so which is the cylindrical surface. Okay, so we have got a 90-degree, which means only out of the cylinder I cut only one of them. Okay, not all the sections have been. I take just one cross section, and within the cross section itself I take another cut so as to get only this area. So once I have that, let us say this is the point I want to describe, the point over here. So over here I want to describe. To describe that point, what I do is I take the radius vector as it is, which is the rho. So the rho is what the point is. Now that is not enough actually. I need a so to describe this angle, what is this angle phi, which I set it as azimuthal angle. What I have done is I projected this radius vector onto the xy plane. This is how I have done, and this is the projection, and clearly the projection of this rho on xy plane is also going to be rho, which is the radius, because it is only a circle which are stacked to form over each other to form a cylinder. Therefore, whatever value that you get here, the projection is also going to have the same value in xy plane. Therefore, this is also rho, and this rho is going to make an angle phi with x-axis. This is how we define the phi. Okay, so this is the way the azimuthal angle is defined. From x-axis, it goes anti-clockwise. You will get 360. Okay, so it goes this way. It is going increasing along this direction. Okay, and now the z point. So we can very well see that what are the unit vectors. Okay, I should have marked the point P anyway. It is fine. So I will tell you the point P. The point P is going to be this. This is the height z. So radius, the angle phi, and then so I can define this point over here P as rho, phi, and z. Z is the height at which this point is located with respect to the z-axis. So where are the directions of the unit vectors? So the unit vectors are going to be actually along this direction. Along these directions. Why it is along this direction? Let me explain. So this point is defined. Now, this is very clear, evident. So I have marked when we take unit vectors in cylindrical polar coordinate system, what you must understand is the unit vector direction is always along the increasing values of the coordinates itself. So the radius increases from origin along this direction. This is the positive quadrant. So the radius increases. Suppose if the point is located here, the radius is going to increase along that direction. So the direction of the unit vector is going to be along that. I will come to that shortly. So right now you can see the definition of the three things. One is what I said, the three coordinates are perpendicular to each other. You can see the unit vectors perpendicular to each other here. So what are the unit vectors in cylindrical coordinate system? It is going to be a rho hat, a phi hat, and ac hat. Again, a phi you can see the unit vector because my angle is taken from with respect to x-axis. So with respect to x-axis in anti-clockwise. So when I go anti-clockwise, the direction of the arrow is going to be like this. Therefore, the unit vector is along the increasing value of phi. So you see this increasing value of phi is going along this direction, but you can see the perpendicular nature of these three unit vectors. Obviously, moment the unit vectors are perpendicular, we can invoke the dot product relationship. I will ask you to wait for a moment before we jump onto that. Let us first talk about point transformation. How do I visualize the same point in Cartesian coordinate system? That is, or if I have a Cartesian coordinate, if I want to convert it into cylindrical coordinate, what is the relationship? That is called a transformation. Point transformation. Now let us lay out the properties of these unit vectors. Okay, so the unit vectors are mutually perpendicular. We have seen that. The directions of these unit vectors, I explained that they are along the increasing values of the respective coordinates. Then there are two linear parameters, namely rho, z. We have again explained that, and one angular parameter phi, which is the azimuthal plane, and the angle is always known as azimuthal angle. Now there is one important thing that I want you to pay attention here before I leak the secret. Now, if I were to say use the word secret, there is nothing secret. I am just kidding. So this point, suppose over here. Now let us say this point is over there. Then the unit vectors are not going to have constant directions. Okay, except that of the along the z direction, because z is the height and the positive z axis is over here. So only the z axis is increasing along this direction. Except z axis, the other two coordinates, namely the radius vector and the angular function, that is your azimuthal angle, the unit vectors is going to change. For example, if I were to visualize this point over here, my unit vector of this a phi hat is going to be into the computer, into my screen on which you are looking at this presentation. Okay, if it is a board, it will be into the board. Okay, and the radius is going to go in this direction, the radius vector, if the point were here. So this is the fundamental difference between xyz and rho phi z, that is the cylindrical coordinates. The unit vectors do not have constant direction. They are not constant. Okay, their direction change depending on where the point is located. So except that the z-axis. Okay, because the z-axis is the same both in RCS coordinate, that is rectangular coordinate system, and in cylindrical coordinate system. But rho and a rho and a phi, the directions are not going to be constant, as will be shortly visualized through this figure. So I'm showing this figure over here. Now there is another point the directions have changed. Now if I bring third point, the directions have changed. So you can see the z direction has not changed, but with respect to the origin, the row directions have changed. Okay, the point over here it is increasing like this, the radius. But if I were to here, so I want you to visualize, imagine a cylinder, okay, in front of you, and place superimpose a rectangular coordinate system such that the origin is of the rectangular coordinate system coincides with the center of the circular cross section. Okay, and you move this rectangular coordinate system along the height, you will get the z value. Okay, so there is some certain visualization which is required. I have tried to bring the visualization as much as possible with a PowerPoint. There is no substitute for having an eye to eye contact and explaining. However, I am sure that you have captured the idea to an extent possible with the PowerPoint. Okay, in case any of you have not understood this point clearly, we will talk about it at another time by having a video chat. Okay, so through Microsoft Teams, we will talk about that later. Now, the dot product relationship is obvious because the unit vectors are perpendicular to each other, which means I can actually write arrow hat dotted with arrow hat, which is I am taking a dot product of a unit vector onto itself. I will get 1 because the angle is 0, and by definition, the cos 0 is 1. Therefore, you get 1. And because these unit vectors are perpendicular to each other, we will always get 0. We are going to make use of this relationship when we talk about vector transformation. Hold on your breath for a moment. First, we will talk about point transformation. So I want to know what is the relationship from and to cylindrical coordinate system. What it means is if I am given a point in a cylindrical coordinate system, how do I visualize that point in a Cartesian coordinate system? Or if I am given a point in Cartesian coordinate system, how do I visualize that point in cylindrical coordinate system? So this is what is known as point transformation, and it is very simple because you all know this concept, these polar coordinates. So I am just going to pull those small trigonometric relationship over here and get these points as x equal to rho cos phi, y equal to rho sin phi. This is very evident. Okay, so in this case, I have been given point rho phi z. I can find what is xyz. Suppose on the contrary, if I am given xyz, how am I going to look at it? All I need to do is do a little bit of mathematical jugglery. So if I say this x equal to rho cos phi as equation 1, y equals to rho sin phi, y equal to as equation 2, and what I do is square equation 1 and equation 2 and add them and then take the square root. You will get rho as equal to root of x square plus y square. Phi is given by dividing equation 2 by 1. You will get tan inverse of y by x as phi, and then z equal to z. For example, if I have a point, let us say I have a point 1, 0, 0. So I can easily see that 1, x equal to 1 and y equal to 0. This is 0. So you can easily see x0 means x1 means rho. The angle has to be, this is the point over here. Definitely the phi is going to be 0, which means cos 0 is 1 and rho is going to be 1. So this point is located here. Okay, and I can visualize that point over here, and I will write it as radius 1, phi 0, and z equal to 0. If I have 1, 0, 1, then the height is going to be, z is going to be like this, 1. So the point will be over here, somewhere here. If it is 1, 0, 2, it will be here. It goes on like that. So in principle, when we talk about a charge configuration or a current configuration, I can assume, for example, I can have a wire and it is infinitely long, which means the length of the wire is extending from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, Similarly, and the charge is distributed throughout this wire. So the z value, if I orient this wire along the z-axis, then my limits is going to go from, for z is going to go from minus infinity to plus infinity. We'll come to that when we talk about the field, but I am just giving you a reason why we talk about here. And there is also the phi value. The phi can take value all the way from 0 to 360. That is very clear, evident. What about radius? So if the charge is extending to infinity, it can all the way go, the rho also can go to infinity. So it can go from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, so if I have a cylinder, a wire can be construed or imagined to be a cylinder, and if the wire itself, the length of the wire is oriented along the z direction, and if the wire is infinitely long, then I can actually, when I calculate the field at a point in space due to this infinitely long wire carrying a charge distributed throughout the wire, uniformly throughout the wire, or if I have a current, okay, which is running through the wire, and if I want to find field at a point in space, I can actually pull these limits of these integrals as running from, depending on the way I visualize the problem, I will be taking the rho as running from 0 to infinity or minus infinity to plus infinity, depends on the problem nature. Again, the z can also run from minus infinity to plus infinity, and the phi only can go from 0 to 360. That is the only thing which is very evident. Now, come to the vector transformation. So I am sure that you have learned what is the point transformation. Given a point in rho phi z, I can get the Cartesian coordinate using this relationship, which is identified in this box. Given the Cartesian coordinates, I can identify rho phi z using this relationship. Now go to vector transformation. Okay, the vector transformation can be actually found out using this relationship. Okay, so we are going to pull the basics that we learned in the last two classes. So first of all, how do we write a vector in Cartesian coordinate system? This is how it is written. Vector A is ax hat plus ay hat plus az hat, where capital Ax, capital Ay, capital Az are the components along the xyz direction respectively. Ax hat, ay hat, az hat are all unit vectors along the three directions, which you know already. So if I want to know the components along the three things, what I need to do is, because I know the dot product relationship of these unit vectors, I can just pull out this mathematical thing, because all other combinations, we know that if I take this, I substitute this vector over here, I will get ax hat dotted with ax hat, because ax hat dotted with ax hat will be 1. That will be the only component that will be remaining. All the other two components is going to vanish, because ax hat, ay hat, az hat are mutually perpendicular, which means the angle between any two pairs, any pair is going to be 90 degree. Therefore, cos 90 is 0, which means the other terms are going to vanish. So you get this. Now, what about in the cylindrical? Let's write that. So a vector, if I want to visualize the same vector in a cylindrical coordinate system, I am going to write it as, I know I have to use those subscripts, appropriate subscripts for the three directions. Therefore, I get it as a rho hat plus a phi hat plus ac hat. There is no doubt about it. Now the components obviously is a rho, a phi, ac, and unit vectors is going to be a rho hat, a phi hat, and ac hat. Again, so what about this same thing? We can pull this relationship. So this is it. Same thing. Okay, because the unit vectors in, whether, that is why cylindrical coordinate system is an orthogonal coordinate system. So is rectangular coordinate system. So is spherical polar coordinate system, that we will learn in the next class. So there is no doubt about it that we can write these components in this form. Okay, once I write these components, I can actually get these components. So given a vector, how do I get that vector to be written in this form? So I need to find the interrelationship between these two vectors. So I'm going to do a mathematical jugglery. How am I going to do? Because remember, the point in space is the same. Either I visualize that point in terms of the rectangular coordinates or in terms of the cylindrical coordinates. So the point is one and the same. Okay, so this vector is also one and the same in terms of the magnitude and all those things. You are going to, as long as you deal properly with the units, you will get the vector. The only thing that you want to note, we have written in terms of a different coordinate system, we have written the same vector in different coordinate system over here. So having said that, if I want to find relationship between arrow, all I need to do is I substitute this vector over here and I will end up getting like this. So I have the three forms here. So what am I going to do? I am going to do this mathematical jugglery over here. What I have done is I have substituted the Cartesian coordinate vector system over here. I get arrow as ax hat plus ay hat plus ac hat dotted with arrow hat. Okay. Similarly, I can write for the three components as follows, and I get the three equations as it is, like this. Once I do that, now because my given vector, for example, I have been given 2x hat, 3 plus 3y hat plus 4z hat. And I know that this is given in Cartesian coordinate system with the components 2 along x direction, 3 along y direction, 4 along z direction. I want to transform this vector or visualize this vector in cylindrical coordinate system. How am I going to do that? So the generic approach is what we are discussing in this class by taking generic expressions of the vector and trying to arrive at relationship. And this is how it is done. So these three equations can be conveniently combined into what is known as a matrix form, and you have learned this matrix in the previous semester or even in your higher secondary. So I am sure that you know this thing, how to write this matrix form, which is not difficult, because once I have this can be expanded as ax into this term plus ay into this term plus ac into this term, giving rise to equation 1. Similarly, ax into this term, ay into this term plus ac into this term, giving rise to equation 2. Similarly, the equation 3. Now, once I have got that, now I know this given vector is, the example I stated is going to be 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2, 3, 4 is given to me. So once I know this ax, ay as 2, 3, 4, I need to find only the dot product relationship between the two vectors. If I find the dot product relationship, then I will be able to get the components along the in cylindrical polar coordinate system. Once I have the components, I can easily write the cylindrical coordinate system vector, the vector in cylindrical coordinate system. That is very super simple. Because of this, obviously, I can, once I estimate that, I can use this relationship and write like this. Okay, so that is not a difficult thing. Now, so this matrix that you are seeing is known as the transformation matrix between one coordinate system over the other. In this case, we are transforming the Cartesian coordinate system into a vector of Cartesian coordinate system. We want to transform it into a vector in cylindrical system. Therefore, the dot product relationship have to be estimated. Once that is our next target. So the step-by-step procedure we are explaining. So this is known as transformation matrix. Once I know the transformation matrix, how am I going to do that? Okay, so I want you to pay attention to these two, the third column and the third row. The third column is here, third row is here. There is a reason for it, and then we will come to the remaining elements. Okay, so this is the, let us take this column. For example, I want to know what is AC arrow, right? That is what I want to know. Okay, we know what are the coordinates in cylindrical coordinate system? Rho phi z, right? So rho phi z, which means rho and phi rho phi z are mutually perpendicular. So what will be the value of AC hat dot a rho hat? It will be 0. AC hat a phi hat, it will be 0. Same is the case because this is also orthogonal. This is also orthogonal. This is coming from the cylindrical coordinate relationship, and this is coming from the rectangular coordinate system. And this term AC hat is the only term which we know obviously is 1. Therefore, from this dot product relationship, we can write this transformation matrix, and we can simplify by finding these two, the third column and third row. We can find, and remaining only these 3 or 4 are remaining. How am I going to find it? For which what I do is a simple geometrical figure we construct with a Cartesian coordinate system, because and then find the interrelationship between the two unit vectors. Once I know the interrelationship, you remember this, we had talked about the projection of the vector in the last class. Therefore, we are going to, because we are dealing with the dot product matrix, this transformation matrix is also what is known as dot product matrix. And if I have, for example, AX hat dotted with A rho hat, then it is equivalent to mod AX hat mod A rho hat cosine of the angle between them. Okay, so therefore I can simply get this visualization done immediately, and this is very super simple. AX A rho hat obviously is going to be along this cos phi direction, and AY A rho is sin phi. And now the only, so the top row is constructed, that is cos phi over here, sin phi over here, the remaining 2 are here. How do I do that? So I need, this is my direction, I have to project this vector over here. I need to know what is the angle between them. If I know the angle, I am done with that. So what is the angle here? Because I know A rho and A phi are mutually perpendicular. Therefore, once I know that this angle is phi, therefore, and this is 90 minus phi, this will be phi. Therefore, these relationship are super simple. So we have got this relationship as cos phi sin phi 0 minus sin phi cos phi 0, 0, 0, 1. And we have got the transformation matrix or dot product matrix. So all we need to do is, I need to multiply, remember, to get the entire transformation. All I need to do is pull out that relationship over here, and the example I took 2x hat plus 2y hat plus 4z hat. So I have to write here 2, 3, 4 and then substitute here, and then I can get in terms of the angle, and I will get a generic expression of the vector in rho phi z coordinate system. So this is how it is easily done, and the fundamental idea is to get the dot product matrix properly. Okay, once you get the dot product matrix, everything is super simple, and then you can get it. Suppose if I am given a vector in the rectangular coordinates, okay, then I can get it in cylindrical. On the other hand, if I am given vector in cylindrical coordinate, I want to extract this. You can do, what you can do is you take the inverse of this matrix, you will get that. Okay, that is matrix way. There is also alternate way, and once I do that, I will get this value. The only interchange that you see between this, the previous and this one, is basically the only interchange. I want you to pay attention. There is a minus sign here, there is a sin phi here. If I want you to do that, okay, I want you to see that only these elements, the diagonal, these elements have remained the same, only these 2 elements. How am I seeing that? Because if I am asked to do that, all I need to do is, in which case here I need to, I give you as an exercise for you to do this with this fundamental step and get this. So only thing, when I want to get it, I have to go like this. All I need to do is, I need to go, I have to write in terms of AX, AY, AC, and then substitute for this vector in terms of the cylindrical coordinate, because that is the given vector. I want to extract the component along xyz, then I need to write it in the opposite way of the way it is written over here. So you can try to do it following the same steps, and you'll get this matrix as I explained here. The only component, as I told you, is only it is exchanging with respect to this minus sin phi has gone to sin phi over here, and plus sin phi over here. So that is the only interchange that has taken place between these two components because of this relationship. So here I have clearly stated. Okay, so this ax arrow. So this is how it should be written. Previously it was written as arrow was here, a5 was here, ac was here, and it was all taken with respect to ax component because we know that way. Now we need to do it in a different formulation. Okay, so this is how it must be done. So we got to be careful how we do it. So here are the 4 problems, and these 4 problems are given. I want you to do these 4 problems, and you can easily compare the answers with the answers. I will be uploading it in the Ample. So let us take one example in the classroom itself. Let us go to